Hi everyone, it's Christine here from Christine's Stampin' Spot, and I have a sweet, super simple card to share with you today. This card uses the PS You're the Best stamp set, which is one of the new releases from the current annual catalog, which just came out in June of 2018. And this is a little card that I created. Super simple little card, so easy to put together. But I think it's really sweet and it certainly is fun to put together. So let's go ahead and get started. This is a very simple card, so hopefully this will be a very short video. I know my videos tend to go a little long sometimes, so hopefully this one won't be too long. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna stamp this cute little typewriter, and I'm just gonna use a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to be using Coastal Cabana for the inking of the typewriter. So this is a clear mount red rubber stamp. You can also get it in wood blocks if you prefer. I just prefer the red rubber because I like to use my acrylic blocks, but they do have the wood block option available if you prefer. So I'm just inking my little typewriter image up in my Coastal Cabana ink, and now I'm just going to stamp it right down onto my Whisper White cardstock. Now because this is red rubber, we don't need our Stampin' Pierce mat, which you often see me put down when I'm working with the photopolymer stamps. We won't need that for this because these red rubber stamps already have the padding that you need, so you don't have to worry about that. You can just stamp right on a flat surface. Okay, so this is what it looks like stamped out, and I stamped it crooked because it didn't matter to me how it looked because we're going to cut it out. However, to save time, I already went ahead and cut one out for you so you guys didn't have to sit and watch me cut this out. It's really easy to cut it out. Honestly, it's just a few lines and you're done. So I went ahead and did that prior to coming on camera. Now I want to go ahead and stamp the little sentiment and the little heart on the typing paper. Isn't that cute? And there are tons of sentiments, as you can see in this set, that are just beautiful. I decided to keep it super simple today, and I just used the heart and You're the Best. And I'm going to ink that up in Crumb Cake for my ink color, but you could of course use any ink color that you prefer. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp the little heart first, just down towards the bottom in the middle of my little typing paper. Cute little heart there. Clean that off real quick. And now I'm going to stamp the sentiment. Now I am going to bring some scratch paper over just so I can make sure I have my sentiment nice and straight. I sort of get, I think, spoiled sometimes with photopolymer stamps, and I'm so used to them because I seem to use them the most often, and so sometimes I almost feel a little blind when I'm working with the red rubber. So I like to just give them a few test runs on my Stampin' grid paper, which I just use for scratch paper. Any scratch paper would do the trick. And I just kind of like to use that to give me a couple practice goes before I stamp it down when I'm not using the photopolymer, because again, I just feel a little spoiled with it. It's not that red rubber is hard or anything, believe me, it's just different. And I just seem to gravitate towards those photopolymer stamp sets for some reason. But we did really good here, and it says You're the Best with the little heart. Would also be really cute, and I thought about this after I completed the card, so I didn't do it, but wouldn't it be cute to maybe emboss this with some copper or gold embossing powder? I thought that would be maybe just a cute idea. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is create some of this texture on this piece of Crumb Cake cardstock here. And it's very subtle. I'm not even sure if the camera is picking it up completely, but it's this sort of brown little texture looking thing down here. To me, it sort of looks like a blotch of ink, like if the typewriter messed up or something back in the day. You know, you might get a little blotch. It's this image right here in the stamp set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring over a piece of Crumb Cake cardstock, and this measures 3 3/4 by 5. And I'm bringing over that image, and I've already just sort of stuck it to an acrylic block. And I'm just going to sort of willy-nilly, no plan to this at all. It doesn't matter where you put it. I'm just putting in this little smudgy thing, smudgy image along the bottom and left side a little bit of this piece of Crumb Cake cardstock. And it's just to add a little bit of texture. I just really liked the look, honestly. It's not something that you would have to recreate if you were doing this card and you prefer it without this look. That is absolutely fine. Whenever there's a background stamp, I tend to use it for some reason. I really just like to add background and texture to my plain cardstock, and I don't know why. That's just something that I do. Okay, so the next step is we want to cut out this fun little swirly thing that I put behind the typewriter. And yes, swirly thing is the appropriate name for that. It comes from the Swirly Scribbles, see, I wasn't kidding, the Swirly Scribbles Thinlit dies, which are in the back of the catalog. Now, this used to be a bundle, and it coordinates with the Swirly Bird stamp set. However, the bundle has retired, but that stamp set and these framelits, or excuse me, Thinlits, can be purchased in the catalog. You just can't get them as a bundle anymore. One of my favorite stamp sets, one of my favorite dies, and these are some really fun images to just add some stuff to your cards. And that's a great thing about Stampin' Up! Or paper crafting in general, is you can mix and match various products, different stamp sets, different die sets together to put your project together. So I just ran this through my Big Shot, and I did use my precision base because I was cutting through our silver glimmer paper, which is a little bit thicker. So I did use my precision base for that, but I already went ahead and did that off camera, so I didn't waste time. And here it is, all nice and cut out and shimmery and shiny. Isn't that pretty? So I'm just going to turn it over and grab some snail adhesive. I'm sorry my scratch paper is so well used. I meant to grab a clean one, a clean sheet before coming on camera, and I forgot today, so please forgive the mess. Okay, so I'm going to stick this just sort of up towards the top of our little smudgy area. No right or wrong place to put it, just kind of here-ish. All right, now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and adhere this piece of crumb cake to our card base. And for our card base, I chose Coastal Cabana, which is the same color that we stamped our little typewriter in. And this is cut at 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. And it's just going to open like this. Now, I didn't do this before coming on camera, but if you recreate this card, you may want to put a piece of Whisper White inside where you can write your message, just because it's a darker piece of cardstock. However, it's not super dark like black or early espresso or something like that. So depending on the color pen you use, it may be okay. That's just a design choice that's up to you. I tend to always put white in my card bases. I just forgot to do it before coming on camera today. So I'm just centering this in the middle of my card base here and sticking that down. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to work on this little banner up here. To create this, all I did was I first cut a little strip of Coastal Cabana cardstock, and I cut it at 1 inch. And the reason that I did that is because this is our punch, it's a triple banner punch, I believe is what it's called. I'll have, by the way, a link to my blog in the description box below of this video. Make sure to click show more to see all the information that's typed in the description box of this video. And that description box will have a link to my blog, which will have pictures of this card close up, but it will also have a link to all of the products that I use to create this card if you're interested in purchasing anything. And I will have the correct names for all the products in that post. Okay, so what I did, going back to how I created this little banner, really I just thought the upper right corner was missing something, and I didn't want to put more smudging, smudge stamp or anything like that. I felt like that kind of belonged in this corner. So when I was designing the card, I was thinking, what do I want in this top right corner? And I just came up with a little banner idea. So I cut a strip of Coastal Cabana cardstock to 1 inch, and by 1 inch by like however long it was, it doesn't really matter. Just cut 1 inch and have it some length. And then I stuck it down in my punch here and punched it out. This is called the triple banner punch because it has 3 different sizes: 1 inch, 1.5 inch, and 2 inch that fit very easily in the slot of the punch. However, you can really use this on any size if you just feed it through the back and peer through the back to make your cut. This is a great punch and one that I reach for often. So once I had my little 1 inch wide paper in there and punched it down, I then cut it to 1 inch high. And so there it goes right there. So what I did is I added some adhesive. I hope that makes sense, guys. If not, feel free to always reach out to me. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment on the video, or you can email me, or whatever you prefer. So I wanted to add a little texture to the banner, so I decided to put some adhesive on the back, and then I grabbed my linen thread, and I'm just simply going to wrap my linen thread around the back and stick it down, and then wind it and just sort of do a little crisscrossy pattern, and then come right down through the middle for my last loop around. and then stick it down for the final time, and then just trim off the excess. And that just added some fun little texture. And then I'm going to put one more round of adhesive to the back of the little banner. And then just stick it in this upper right hand corner, which again just seemed a little lonely. So that's how I came up with that idea. Again, something you could absolutely leave off if you prefer. And I always try to say that, you know, I don't come on camera here to say, you know, my cards are amazing and you should do my cards exactly. No, no, no. My cards are what I like. I love to craft. I've been in the crafting industry for, gosh, 15 years now. But you know, it's just a starting point for you. We all have our own aesthetic. We all have things that we like and we don't like in our designs, and that's absolutely fine. That's the way it should be, and that's why there's so many products in the Stampin' Up! Catalog, right? Because everybody has different likes and interests, and some people are going to love a stamp set and some people aren't. So I think of my videos as just sort of a starting point. You can, of course, recreate my cards if you want to. I find that flattering. I would never be offended. That's why I'm here teaching, you know, that's the point. But also, I would certainly not be upset if you changed the design or if you just didn't like a particular card and, you know, decided to do it completely differently. I think it's all great. There's room for all designs in the crafting world, I think. Okay, so on the back of our typewriter now, I've placed some dimensionals, and now I'm going to grab my silver metallic thread. If you've watched any of my videos lately, you guys know I tend to not be able to stay away from the metallic threads. So I'm just going to cut off a bunch here and then just sort of wind this back up real quick. And then set this aside. All right, so all I do for my twine here, and I cut a pretty big piece because it's a pretty large image, and also you get so much thread on a roll for like $4 that you really can't go wrong. You know, you don't have to worry about wasting it at all. It's such a good deal. So anyway, all I do now is I just sort of turn it. However the string or the thread wants to turn, I let it go that way. And all I'm doing is just winding it along the back and sticking it to the dimensionals as I go. I have found that the thread is so thin that it really doesn't bother with the stickiness of the dimensionals at all. So I don't need to put extra adhesive or anything, I have found in my experience anyway. So hopefully it makes sense when you can see what I'm doing. It is kind of hard to pick it up on camera because the metallic thread is so thin and almost iridescent looking because I'm using the silver, but all you do is just sort of loop it and stick it and loop it however it wants to go and stick it down on those dimensionals until you reach the end of whatever, you know, portion you cut off, and that's done. And so this is what you get. Can you guys see that? You just get this little hint of this thread sticking out along the back. It's, and again, another one of those design choices you can take out if you don't like it. I tend to really like this look, so I use it often and love it. But if you don't, no big deal at all. So now I'm just going to stick the whole thing down right about here. There we go. So it's sort of in the middle and down from our swirly die cut thing. All right, for a finishing touch, all I did, guys, is add a few Stampin' rhinestones. I decided to add 5 to this particular card. You can add however many you want. And I just think that these are a lovely touch. They just add a little tiny bit of bling to your projects, which you can never go wrong with bling, right? That's what I say. But that one doesn't want to stick. Sometimes when I'm in a hurry, I pull these off and I leave the adhesive behind. So just a little tip, don't do that. Okay, guys, that's it. That is the card for today. Super easy, super simple card and card design. But I hope you like it. I think it's really sweet, and I hope that you enjoyed it too. Thank you guys so much, as always, for stopping by and for hanging out with me today and for stamping with me, and I will catch you in the next video. Tomorrow, I will have my next online card class announcement, so make sure to tune back in for that. What I always do on Tuesdays is I will post a sample card and video tutorial showcasing the stamps that I'm going to use in my online card class, and then I'll post a second video with all the class information. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. All right, thanks guys. Have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.